There would be. I mean, it's politics.
Okay, let's get to Gimba. He's got a question.
Oh, Senator, I'm just wondering at the NEC meeting you just had and some of the discussions that were held in that meeting, one of which is the president asking the governors to allow congresses to hold, allow the conventions to hold at some point when your party gets to be ready to do that. Does that then suggest to you that this is a give and take situation where the president is also telling them, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, because I'll be running for president?
I don't think that is a correct analysis of the president's position. You must understand that even before the president took the position that he has taken, the governors had already agreed to support the president. So this is not about anything that is personal to Buhari. Whether he did this or not, all the governors will still support him. I think what he is looking at is, first of all, the image of the party. Secondly, the responsibility of the APC to lead by example. Thirdly, what is the best option in terms of doing what is right for the party? Because if you're arguing that there will be crisis in the party, there will be crisis whether we hold congresses or we don't hold them. Now, what is the best thing to do is to obey the law so that whatever issues that may arise in the party are resolved by the majority of the members of the party having an opportunity to make an input into the election of leaders right from the word up. I think that is a better way of trying to take care of whatever issues that may arise than simply shutting people out, which is what the other option would have been. So it's not a question of the president needing anybody to scratch his back. There are millions of Nigerians who are willing to scratch the president's back, and in fact, they'll scratch it with everything. But it's a question of him trying to do what is right for the country. I think that's where we are.
Thank you for that clarification. But another question that will easily prop up is that that has to do with the Reconciliation Committee, which Bola Tinubu is supposed to be heading. And the other part of it where we had some degree of fracas, or should I say misunderstanding or misinterpretation, if you will, between Tinubu and Oyegu. How much of that has been cleared?
Well, I think the proper way to look at this thing is that the committee has been set up, it is supposed to work, and it will report to the president that set it up. So I think if there are issues along the way, those issues will be taken up at the level of where they got their commission from, which is from the presidency. But so far as I know, a lot of what is being reported in the press is not entirely accurate. Because like I mentioned before, when the president came to NEC, he said clearly that everybody should cooperate with the Reconciliation Committee to ensure that the work of the committee is unhindered and it achieves its goals. And when the national chairman also spoke, he also mentioned it and promised to work with the committee. So when things are reported in the press sometimes, they may not exactly reflect the reality of what is on ground. So I really don't see that conflict in the way in which you see it. I know people have alluded to the fact that the work of the committee is not public. So that may be part of the reasons why people don't know exactly how far they have gone and what they are doing. But I know that Asiwaju Bola Tinubu has been going around the country consulting with those that are perceived as aggrieved one way or the other and talking with them.
Does that include River State?
Sorry?
Does that not include River State?
He has not been to River State.
But did they expect him at River State?
Well, we believe that everywhere where there are issues in the party, the committee would look towards it and try to find common ground for party.
And you've been talking about working together, uniting the party again. I mean, you had a rally recently in River State where you talk about uniting the party again. But let's go back a little bit to the question I asked you earlier, which you didn't answer. The question of convenience as against doing the right thing. The Constitution is here, but we're looking at convenience. Is that where the party is leading this country to? You said the party is leading Nigeria somewhere. Is it about convenience over doing the right thing?
The decision we have taken now is the decision to do the right thing.
I'm saying before now, because it took the president to come up and point it out again for the party to step back and say, okay, let's do the right thing. So if the president didn't point it out, we would have gone ahead with convenience over the right thing.
I think that's not the proper way of looking at it. That decision was taken because people also believed it to be the right thing. They had their own arguments and their own reasons, which was also backed up by law and by decided cases, which they presented to NEC. So sometimes you can't just look at things and fix them deliberately in a slot when they don't belong there. So that was not the way in which the decision was taken. It wasn't a question of taking convenience over the right thing. It was a question of what the party felt was right, looking at the things that were presented to them at that time. But when the president came up and pointed out that Section 223 of the Constitution is very, very clear on this point, and that even our own Constitution is clear on this point, everybody agreed that, listen, it's better for us to err on the side of surplusage than for us to do anything that tomorrow Nigerians will look at us and say, oh, you know, you didn't even hold congresses, you didn't respect the Constitution and all that. So that's where we are.
In a sense, you mentioned initially that, I mean, in your opening, that part of the decisions that NEC took at the time, some of them came up with those suggestions also backed by law. So I'm just wondering, what kind of law, what laws did they cite when they said, no, let's extend the tenure?
The party has a legal advisor who I believe is an eminently qualified lawyer, and he